It was a bright cold day in April, and the clocks were striking 13. War is peace. Freedom is slavery. Ignorance is strength. Big Brother is watching, and in 2026, those words hit harder than ever. This is What If Tomorrow. Let's see how close we really are to Orwell's nightmare. Welcome to another episode of What If Tomorrow. I'm Philip.
And I'm Mark.
And tonight, man, we're going to just kind of break it down. I think it popped up in the last episode, kind of what if, talking about 1984 and all that. It's like, let's compare it. I mean, we've talked about it. You hear people say, hey, Ian, you hear people say all the time, this is just like Orwell, or this is just like, what am I thinking of? Lord, I just drew a blank already. Anyway, but tonight, we're just going to kind of run down and just kind of make some comparisons and see what's happening. First things first, where to go? Here it is. Okay. First things first, we're going to get this out of the way.
Hey, this is Mark with What If Tomorrow and What If Tomorrow on the Fringe. Be sure to check out our website, whatiftomorrowmedia.com. And look at our cool merch. We've got t-shirts, hoodies, posters, and more. Our affiliates are Duke Cannon, EMP Shield, My Patriot Supply, and Conflicted the Game. Or check out buymeacoffee.com/whatiftomorrow and buy us a coffee. And as always, be sure to like, comment, and share on both Facebook and YouTube. It helps get our content out to others and help our channel grow. Now on with the show.
All right. Hey, Chris. Hey, Julie. Glad to have you guys. But yeah, tonight, man, we're just going to run down, kind of talk about the book. I'm going to be up front. I've never read it. I've listened to it. I've watched the movie. So, but it's been a while.
I read it 40 years ago.
Mark, you're showing your age, buddy.
My daughter has like 17 copies out in my garage. Wow. She buys one. If she finds one at a garage sale, she buys it and then she hands them to people. So if you want to see what this is about, and I really like that. She's serious about it.
Yeah,
this is what we're facing. You still there?
Uh-oh. Is that me or Mark? Yeah. Did you lose me or did I lose you?
You just froze for a second. I don't know if it froze on everybody else's.
Okay. Yeah, my computer's been acting wonky. Anyway, real quick on the brief, just a quick little background on Orwell. His actual real name was Eric Blair, and I didn't know that. He wrote it in 1948-49. He's drawing from Stalinist Russia, Nazi Germany, and the wartime propaganda. I mean, you can obviously see that. You can obviously read it. You can see where he's drawing the parallels from. But I would almost say that the book, I mean, obviously Stalinist Russia was still happening. The Nazi Germany was gone by that time. I'm sure there was still tons of Nazi sympathizers, but looking at it, look at the content in it, and the way the book was written, I think it was more prophetic.
I mean, it really seems like it when you read it today. Is like this guy knows our society.
What in the world?
We're talking about something important, so the internet web is going to fight us.
Right, absolutely. But we're going to kind of talk about surveillance, thought crimes, Ministry of Truth, rewriting history, which, if you pay attention at all, you'll see it happening. Doublethink, where you simultaneously accept two contradictory beliefs. Newspeak, shrinking language to make it a thought crime, literally unthinkable. Power for power's sake, the boot, quote, the boot stamping on a human face. Forever. Orwell wasn't really predicting the exact text, but he has warned about the psychology and the structures of total control. Um, a saying I've heard here, especially recently, is history doesn't repeat, but it dang sure rhymes. And that makes more sense. I mean, if you really look at the comparisons to what was happening with 1984 and to what is happening now, it rhymes a lot. The technology is here. Something Mark and I were kind of talking about backstage was the movie Mercy. Have any of you guys seen it in the chat? It's on Prime. It's a Chris Pratt movie. My wife and I watched it this weekend. And it wasn't a great movie, quite honestly, but it was good. You know, it was a good Saturday night watch, you know, hanging around the house or whatever. But if you watch it in the context of this is today's technology, you know, AI was a judge. Chris Pratt's character was being tried for the murder of his wife. And he had like 90 minutes to prove himself innocent. And this AI judge has access to everything. Cameras, phones, text, you know, text messages, pictures on your phone, all that, because everybody's required to be in the cloud. And to not be in the cloud is a crime. So it's constant tracking. I mean, it's almost like a 1984 reimagined almost. But the parallels from 1984 to now is crazy. I mean, we look at surveillance. You know, I mean, just think about it in Iran. Whether you're for or against or your thoughts on it, it really doesn't matter to think about what happened over there. You know, when it first started off, how many leaders in Iran were killed? They knew where they were at.
Yeah.
You know, how many layers, you know, of leadership were taken out? You know, the Ayatollah, then, you know, the Ayatollah's son or whatever, you know, his replacement, and then his replacement and all that were just wiped out because they knew where they were at. I mean, talk about surveillance state. If that technology, if it hasn't been, was turned on us, the American people, you can't do anything without them knowing. You know,
Zuckerberg already knows.
Yeah, absolutely. But in the book, you know, the people are constantly monitored via the telescreens. It can't be turned off. The citizens don't know if they're being watched. Today, if you look at it, you know, your phone. I mean, everybody's guilty. I've got mine right here. The speakers are always on. You know, you can't even pull the battery anymore out of the back like you used to be able to kill all power to it. You know, if you look at the data collection from Google or everywhere, you know, Facebook, you know, like you said, Mark, you know, with Zuckerberg, it's just crazy to think about, you know, the widespread, closed circuit television, you know, the cameras, and, you know, people are can get speeding tickets without anybody getting pulled over, you know, it is absolutely. Ian said facial recognition is a slippery slope, something pretty prevalent in China, coming to a country near you soon. Yes.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely right. Yeah, I mean, if you think about it, you know, the algorithm driven profiling, it creates a feeling of being constantly observed. I mean, how many times have you joked around with the people you work with or your friends? And, you know, man, we were just, and you're talking about a product, and the next thing you know, when you pull up your phone, boom, there's an ad for that product.
Yeah, right there.
You know,
or a song.
It's happened tons of times to me. Yeah, a song.
I'll talk about a song, and within 2 songs, it comes up on my Pandora.
Yeah. Right. And I mean, is that government capital, or a government surveillance? I think it could be, I mean, it could definitely be used for that, but
Oh
that's
yeah.
more of a corporate, your corporate data collection. And the thing is we've all given that data away for free.
Oh yeah. Absolutely.
If you have a Gmail account or Facebook, or, I mean, I'm just using those for an example.
Well, there's data brokers and everything else out there.
Yeah. I mean, how many times have you gotten a notification or something in the mail saying your data's been breached,
Way too often.
or, Experian, or saying, hey, I mean, there was a breach here that your data may be compromised or whatever. But it's just nuts to think about. And we all let this happen just out of ignorance and trust. Honestly.
Yeah, and you've got to pay to secure yourself.
Right, you do.
And not everybody has the money to. I've been looking at Cloaked. I mean, let's throw a brand out there to get my stuff off the internet, but it's not cheap. I mean, it's cheap enough, but it's not really cheap. But I'm going to have to pay to get my privacy back.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's ridiculous. And the thing is now with the AIs, the different bots and all, Gemini and ChatGPT and Grok and all that, they're feeding off of your information. And I'm guilty of it.
I'm absolutely guilty. Gemini and Grok have got to the, or not Grok, Gemini and ChatGPT have gotten to the point where they know what I'm going to ask from them.
Yeah.
When I start, I mean, I always ask for the same things about a different subject. And so they've just automatically started compiling that for me.
Mm-hmm.
Which is good, but it's kind of scary.
It is. It really is. I mean, and I think about my younger kids. My older sons, they grew up without AI. Now it's coming to the forefront, and they're in their 20s. My younger kids are going to grow up with AI.
Yeah.
And
watching everything.
I guess my thought process is, how can you keep them safe? Don't give them access. Even so, I mean, they're still being monitored.
Yeah.
What, I can't remember what.
They've got a digital footprint
several years ago. Yeah, they do. They have accounts and all that, and they go online and they take their math courses. I mean, it seems like, and I'm not saying they don't, but it seems like the teachers don't teach. To me. And it's because, my son, he's 11. He's smart as a whip. He's in 5th grade, and his teacher got onto him for working ahead. And
I remember when that used to
he's like, I already know what you're teaching.
Yeah.
What am I supposed to do?
Yeah, I remember when that used to get you a pat on the head and extra credit.
Right. And he got in trouble for it, threatened to send to the principal's office. And come to find out, it's because the teacher doesn't know calculus. And that's where he's at in his math level. which blows my mind. I
Right.
mean,
I'm not to calculus yet.
right. And that's what it comes down to. She cannot teach him how to do calculus, so she's getting on to him for working ahead.
I think he needs to be in another class then.
And I would agree with that. Absolutely. And he's bored. I mean, he's done with his weekly assignments. He's done Monday. You know, he scored in like the, you know, he in all his testing and all that, he scored in like the 90th percentile. Like math, reading, all that. I mean, he's like at the top nationwide, you know, and I'm like, you keep rocking it. And I told him, I said, you keep working ahead. Don't let her slow you down.
Yeah.
You know, I said, that's a fight that your mom and I will have if it comes to it.
Oh,
you
yeah.
keep doing what you need to do.
But that's not a new thing either, Phil.
No.
I cannot name names or anything, but I have met teachers who've literally said when kids came to ask for help that wasn't their job.
Yeah, and that's ridiculous. Now, am I saying a fifth grade teacher should know calculus? No,
Probably
I'm
not
not.
necessary.
Right. But they should have resources, and maybe we're off on a tangent here, but they should have resources to rely on to send him, you know, advanced classes or
even online.
Right. Or have a teacher or another teacher from the high school come in and say, hey, you know, at your, you know, your lunch hour or whenever you can get a chance. Hey, Jess, whenever you get a chance, come in and help this child through.
So, yeah, that is a problem.
Yeah.
And then think of this, your future surgeon is passing his medical school using ChatGPT.
Yeah. I kind of think my future surgeon is going to be ChatGPT or Grok or whoever else.
Might be.
I mean, I know we're kind of on a tangent, but in a way it's related too, you know, because the kids, you know, they do what?
It is related.
Yeah. I mean, the kids, they already have an online footprint. My kids don't have access. They don't have a Facebook. They don't, there's one phone I let them use, and that's a pay-as-you-go thing, you know, with a smart talk or whatever. And that is, you know, if we have to go somewhere or whatever in their home, like if I have to go to work or whatever, and because I'm only live 4 miles from work. And that is a way for us to contact them. If they're not going to be in school, or if they're going to be in school, I don't pay to upgrade it, you know, or for the subscription for the month or whatever. But if they're going to be home, I do, you know, that way they have access.
I remember that movie.
I don't remember. I guess I've never seen it.
The boys from Brazil were supposed to be clones of Adolf Hitler.
Oh.
If I recall correctly. It's been 40 years or more. Or 50 since that came out. So, pardon me if my memory is a little bit slippery there. I mean, yeah, today's surveillance is not as centralized as Orwell's, but it's slipperier, it's sneakier. It comes from governments, corporations, apps, cameras, you name it. And it's not the boot on the neck surveillance you've got. It's more of a gentle, more prevalent, I think, surveillance than Orwell could have imagined.
But my thoughts on that is, if it was as harsh, you know, as Orwell, you know, I mean, there's no trust for the government. But let's say we lived in 1984, you know, in Orwell's 1984. The mistrust and the anger that knowing that you could be surveilled through your TV or whatever, and you be punished because in the book, you're punished for going against the government or whatever. But knowing that now, in our world, people would rise up. But we have been, well, I'll say soft boiled, so to speak, into
We're the frog in a boiling pot of water.
Right. And, it started with, your information for Gmail or Yahoo or whatever. And then, it's progressively gotten to where it's at now, and people just accept it. Me included. I'm not, I'm not excluding myself from this.
Same. The internet knows everything about me, and some stuff I don't even know about myself.
Right.
I might have to call my personal NSA agent to find out what I'm doing next week.
Yeah. Ian makes a good point. He says technology is similar to the East German Stasi, but this time we all volunteered for it. Absolutely.
He's not wrong.
No.
Not wrong at all.
And the hard part, and we'll get to it in a little bit, but it is taking that back. Like you said, it costs you money to spit yourself out of the system.
Mm-hmm.
But still, to keep yourself out of that system, even after paying, there's got to be firewalls or whatever. I'm just using that for an example.
You've got to continue to pay for it to keep yourself clear.
Right. So again, they've got all your information. So are you really spitting yourself out of the system? You know what I mean?
Then you've only got one group to worry about.
Let's move on to the next one. Right. Moving from surveillance, control of truth and rewriting history, the Ministry of Truth. The party alters newspapers, photos, and records daily. Inconvenient facts disappear down memory holes. If you look at today, the edited online content is scrubbed or revised. The government websites, exhibits, shifting historical narratives, and memory hold stories. Examples: efforts to revise or remove references to certain historical events, figures, or topics from national park signage, museum exhibits, public records, including recent U.S. executive actions and debates over what appears on federal sites. Here's a big one that's happening more and more. Deepfakes and AI make altering visual evidence easier than ever. Media or officials sometimes contradict observable events, prompting people to reject the evidence of their eyes and ears.
Yeah.
We see that all the time.
Yeah. And then they'll scrub stuff off that they find inconvenient. We've got politicians on there now who will say, well, I've never said that. Then somebody will pop up a video of them saying it in the 80s or 90s, and all of a sudden they're off Facebook or they're off YouTube or whatever. And these places cooperate.
Mm-hmm. Well, they know who pays the bills.
Yeah.
Because they're all part of the bureaucracy. It doesn't matter Grok or Facebook or Gemini, Google, ChatGPT. It's all, as Jess likes to say, it's all connected.
Yeah. Well, it's Orwell said, who controls the past controls the future.
Yes.
And
that's absolutely true.
They want to change history because it's inconvenient for them. They're looking back in the past and says, oh, we want to be that guy, but we can't be that guy because everybody knows what that guy was like. And so we have to change. We have to eliminate that from history so nobody knows.
Right.
Except for us old farts.
Yeah. And
then they try to make it like gaslight us that we're not remembering correctly.
Right. I'm not sure about that. Ian said, didn't the Trump administration just try to remove references to how bad slavery was from a museum recently? I don't think so. And he said history is ugly and we should recognize that. I absolutely agree with that. History is history.
Yeah. Good, the bad, the ugly.
Right. And I would almost say that the bad history is more important to learn from, to learn.
Absolutely.
Man, it was what year? It was several years ago. We did an episode on history that was bad, and I can't remember the name of it. We'd have to go back and look, but that was a long time ago.
Yeah.
And I think I made somebody mad. I got an email about it, about saying, Black history is American history. So I didn't believe that we needed to have a Black History Month. It wasn't being racist or anything like that. It was just stating fact, because Black history is American history. As for the references to slavery, I don't know. Without looking at it, I don't want to answer either way because I don't know. But that's a good example if it's true. They're trying to rewrite history, and both sides, left and right, are guilty of it.
Oh, yeah. They learned that lesson.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at all the riots and stuff, trying to get rid of, the Christopher Columbus statues and the founders' statues and all that because they were slave owners and all that. That's part of it. I mean, it's people trying to rewrite history or get rid of history.
Now, a lot of these people they're trying to get rid of were trying to change it.
Mm-hmm.
But
right, and if you don't know, no, and if you don't know who that person was, and there's no example there, you can't go look at it. You can't go look it up and try to learn it. What they did, what they didn't do, or whatever. But yeah, we see this all the time. And again, like I said, both sides do it.
Well, and if you go back through time, almost every government that's ever existed has done the same thing. They alter history, especially before everybody became literate. They would alter history to make themselves look good, and everybody just went along with it. And a lot of the stuff we have from history we found is wrong because the victor writes the books.
There you go. You're absolutely right. Let's see. Yeah, here we go. And into the next one, excuse me. Doublethink and language control, newspeak and slogans.
Mm-hmm. Language is a weapon.
It absolutely is. It says from the book, holding contradictory ideas as true, language narrowed to limit dissent. Today, political and media rhetoric where opposing ideas coexist without contradiction. Examples, claims of maximum transparency while restricting certain information or redefining terms and debates over identity, science, or rights.
Changing the way
performative contradictions. What's that?
Changing the way they calculate things so they can fudge the numbers.
Yep. Performative contradictions in press briefings or public statements, debates over protecting democracy, quote unquote, through speech restrictions, evolving definitions of words that shrink acceptable discourse, self-censorship out of fear of backlash mirrors Thoughtcrime. What was it during COVID? How many people were canceled?
We got a warning.
Mm-hmm. Just for mentioning it.
Just for mentioning it. We weren't even necessarily saying anything against anybody at that point. We just mentioned the word.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the big ones. And then during the Biden era, a lot of the people on the right were being canceled because they didn't toe the line or they disagreed with the left, and they were made to be subhuman and all that. That's just two big examples.
Well, I mean, I loved how the left was calling everybody else Nazis when they were using the same tactics that like Orwell was talking about that the Soviets and the Germans used.
Mm-hmm.
So what's up with that?
Right.
And suddenly Nazi went from being left wing to right wing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't get that, because socialist is left, National Socialist Party, but all of a sudden that's right wing. It's changing the narrative,
Right.
flipping the narrative.
And we
on
see
its
it.
head. Yeah, every day.
Yep. You know, this whole issue with ICE over recent months. You know, they expect everybody to be empathetic, you know, when they're trying to remove criminals, you know, criminal aliens from the
Right.
nation. I mean, there's, I guess, playing devil's advocate. Yeah, there are bigger fish to fry, but if American citizens are being killed, murdered, raped, you know, stolen from,
There's a huge number of kids and women from foreign countries who were rescued from being trafficked.
mm-hmm.
It's a huge number. I'm not sure exactly what it is, but I just saw it the other day on one of the news outlets that's not censored. I think it might have been 1440. So, yeah, thousands.
Yeah.
Are they any less important than people who broke the law to get here? I don't think
Right.
so. But they want you to think that it is.
Mm-hmm.
I've had people tell me, "Oh, there was nobody rescued."
There's been thousands rescued.
Thousands. But the news isn't talking about it.
No,
They don't
they're
want
not.
you to know that.
You know, and in reality, and I'm probably going to make some people mad, but that comes down to the Obama administration canceling the propaganda law. I can't remember the name of the law.
Yeah.
But not the law that didn't allow, you know, propaganda to be fed to the American people.
Yeah.
And I really think that needs to be reinstated.
Absolutely.
You know, come
that
out with the
and-
truth.
That and the equal time law.
Mm-hmm.
So, because I think both sides of any argument
where are we at here?
deserve equal time. I've got manufactured confusion, I think.
And they do. Yeah, go for it.
So, one of the core ideas of 1984 is forcing people to live in contradiction. So, you know, it's coming back to the AI generated deep fakes, synthetic audio, fake images, disinformation campaigns. We were just talking about that. AP has reported both on election-related AI disinformation and more recently on a flood of misleading AI generation war content circulating online. I mean, it's out there.
Yeah. It's there's tons of the stuff on X, you know, the AI generated war content. And right now, I mean, right now that footage, you can tell. A lot of it is from like video games and stuff like that. But you can tell there's little tells in there, you know, something's not quite right. You know, what is it? The uncanny valleys when you know,
Uncanny
it
Valley.
looks human, but you know, it's kind of the same concept. You know, it kind of looks real, but then it's not. But man, people need to have some discernment, because there will be
Yeah.
people that fall for it.
Oh, there is every day. I found things that I thought was maybe real until I got to looking into it.
Yeah, I mean, you have to watch it with discernment, and there's times I've had to watch it a few times. I'm like, no, that's not quite right. Then you find the tell in there somewhere, and you can just tell.
Well, even when you're using AI yourself to try to do something that you're not trying to make up, you've got to be careful. So when I do AI research, I ask for the sources for all the information it gave me with links, and I go check the links. Okay, this is a real article. It was on the AP. This is a real article. It was on Bloomberg. This is a real article. It was on Fox News. Whatever. I check them, make sure that they're just not pulling shit out of their ass.
Yeah.
Pardon my French.
And you have to.
You've got
to. And frankly, it's almost to the point where you can hardly even trust a written article.
Yeah.
In the big scheme of things, I mean, and this will kind of segue into the next topic. In the big scheme of things, that they're everything is written to keep us divided.
Yeah, divide and conquer.
Everything. You know, because I mean, it's no secret on here. I mean, I read comments like crazy, and it's always, oh, you got, you Trump tards or whatever, and well, you've got the TDS and all that. I mean, it's just bickering back and forth. You're not going to change anybody's mind. And frankly, I'm not here to change anybody's mind. I'm just here to lay out and have a good conversation. But if something I say can make somebody stop and think about the big picture, something that somebody can have an effect in their little world.
Yeah.
Because no matter who's in charge, no matter what happens in the world, first and foremost in my world is my family. That's who I can have an effect on.
Exactly.
And everybody, left and right, complains, and I'm guilty of it. I'm not denying. I don't complain and all that. I mean, I'm human. But in the big scheme of things, nothing we can do here will affect what the government does. It's been proven time and again that the government does not care about us.
No government cares about anybody except
for our tax dollars going to them. Now, fraud is running rampant.
Yeah. Look at Minnesota.
No, not at all. I mean, people need to realize that. I mean, you've been told, call your congressman or, your senator, or write to him. Maybe that has somewhat of a personal effect.
It might.
But somebody that's been there 40 years, they don't care.
No, they don't care. They just want to keep using their position so they can keep insider trading. Mm-hmm. And honestly, if I had the money to invest, I would jump on here right now and start following Nancy Pelosi and a couple of those other ones, and make there's a deal you can track the trades of your congressman and trade the same way they do. And they've gotten rich. They've got all this insider information, which is perfectly legal if you're a senator or a congressman. Yeah. Using insider information, they've made millions and millions of dollars. I mean, that's not right.
No, it's not. And if you look at their returns, and their percentage of their investment, how much it's increased is far and above the average individual.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
But anyway, that kind of leads us into the next, and obviously, I mean, anybody here can see it happening, is the perpetual crisis in power dynamics. In the book, they talk endless war and emergencies justify control. Loyalty test replace truth. How many ongoing emergencies do we have right now?
Tons.
And I'm not talking about just this administration. I'm talking about previous administrations. There's always a new emergency or a new crisis
For the last 30 years or more. But
Right.
I've really noticed it the last 20.
Yeah, I would say that. I mean,
There's a lot of wag the dog going on.
absolutely there is. And I woke up in 2008. And I've shared that before. I was speaking to my grandfather, who grew up in the Depression, and we were sitting there talking. I was visiting one day, and we were sitting there talking, and he made the comment. He said, heck, he was, 95? And he's like, he said, I lived through the Depression. He said, I've never seen it this bad. And that spoke volumes to me. And I was like, man, maybe I better wake up. Maybe I better pay attention. It's just crazy. But, we've got health and, health emergencies and climate emergencies, security emergencies. And all these emergencies are used to expand surveillance and censorship powers.
Yeah.
The cancel culture, the deplatforming, is your loyalty test. And this here, my notes say, this says, note the difference. We still have pushback, alternative platforms, privacy tools, and public debate, unlike full Oceania. But the tools, right, AI, data, algorithms are far more sophisticated, and many people embrace convenience over privacy. And we were just kind of skirting around that earlier.
And they dress up their surveillance as convenience and security. You're safer with this. It's more convenient like this. And so you give up a little bit of freedom for safety or a little bit of freedom for convenience. And pretty soon it's all going to be gone.
Right.
But fortunately, we're not as bad off as the people in Orwell's book. So.
And I'll add a caveat to that. Just yet.
Just yet.
Just yet. I mean, anybody with half a brain and they pay attention can see it going that direction. During COVID, during the previous administration, everybody's like, man, this is 1984 coming to pass.
Yeah.
It's still coming to pass.
Yeah, I love the
just
no
because
king
Trump got
deal.
back in office.
Yeah, I love the no kings deal, and they totally ignore how they forced us to wear masks and take vaccines that were dangerous and caused harm, or you lose your job.
Mm-hmm.
But no kings.
Yep.
It's just freaking ridiculous. And that's one of those contradictory statements that we talked about earlier.
Mm-hmm.
When you look at it through the filter of logic, you're going, WTF?
Right. Did you hear about, the big protest that was here last week before, or whatever? Did you hear about the people in England protesting no kings against President Trump? And all I could think was, don't you have a king?
Yeah. What's?
Obviously you're. It's just he's just a figurehead. He has no really power. But you're protesting no kings when you guys worship your king.
Yeah.
When Queen Elizabeth was alive, they worshipped her.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying she was a bad person. I don't know. I'm not saying she was a good person. I don't know. But the way, God save the queen or God save the king, you practically worship the king, but you're protesting no kings.
Right.
I don't know, man. It's crazy to think about and watch.
Yeah, you get out there, the amount of insanity that is out there is just, oh my gosh, I look like the guy from Ancient Aliens, except I have no hair. The amount of insanity
Right.
out there.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. It's but let's think about what if tomorrow, I mean, it's kind of what we're looking at. What are some, there's some dark hypotheticals I'm going to throw at you guys, to kind of think about. What if AI powered pre-crime monitoring or global digital IDs where behavior scores become normalized?
Right.
And in some places they already are.
China.
Ian, Ian, alluded to it earlier in China, your social credit scores. And I know they were trying to go that direction here during the previous administration. With COVID, I think COVID was a huge test.
Yeah.
More so than anything.
Yeah. And they were enforcing it through places like Google and X and, they were enforcing it. They got all these places to cooperate to push the government line.
Mm-hmm. And they did. And I really think that this was all part of the Agenda 2030.
I think it was a social experiment.
It absolutely was. Could it be argued it was a biological attack? I think it absolutely could be. But
or
I don't
did
have.
They just take advantage of something that they knew was coming.
And I think that is probably more likely.
Because that's their MO.
Yeah. Never let a crisis go to waste.
Yeah. Never waste a crisis.
And what if it was, if this becomes normalized?
Right.
I think we are to some extent. Because, and hear me out. You may disagree with me, and that's okay if you do. Think about your credit score.
Yeah.
Not social credit score, your financial credit score. We'll call it that. My wife and I have paid a bunch of things off. We're trying to get out of debt. We're focused on it. We're buckling down, trying to knock this stuff out. And last month we paid a bunch off.
Yep.
And my wife and I were talking over the weekend. She's like, I checked my credit score after paying all that stuff off, and my credit score dropped.
Yeah, I've seen it happen. It's happened to me.
Yeah, and I told her, I said, it's because they want you in the system giving your money.
Yeah.
And they is, the powers that be, the people that run the financials and all that stuff. Maybe the Federal Reserve's part of it, I'm sure.
The interest is where they make their profit.
Right.
They don't want to endanger their profit.
Right. So if you spit yourself out of the system, which is what we're trying to do, monetarily, if you do that, they're going to penalize you for it.
They're going to spank you. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And it's not really that I care about that one way or another, because, she said it was like 1 or 2 points or something like that dropped, which that will recover. But even if you ever paid attention to Ramsey, not Gordon Ramsay, Dave Ramsey.
Yeah.
He's like, get rid of it. He said, pay cash, everything, pay cash. The only thing we have left is my truck and our house. And hopefully within the next 5 years, that'll all be done.
Yeah, that's
You know, a
all I've
lot can
got.
happen in 5 years, but you know, yeah, I mean, and it's definitely, you feel a lot better because you're not burdened by the debt. But let's look at the other side. You know, what if awareness leads to better privacy laws, decentralized tech, able to be able to critically think, which is almost a lost art anymore, and you return to valuing the objective truth, which I think I like this angle better than the other end. But part of me thinks we're too far gone. And I'm just being honest, you know, sharing my honest thoughts.
It's hard to put things back in Pandora's box.
It is, for sure. And if you try to be objective, right, Ian? Ian said, simply become a billionaire and free yourself from such shackles, for sure.
Well, I mean, everybody identifies as something now. I identify as a billionaire, so I'm going to write checks, and you can't do anything about it. You have to cash them. I identify as a billionaire.
Right? I have it in my account. Or at least I identify I have it in my account. But yeah, let's think about that. You know, I mean, you know, decentralized tech. I don't see that happening.
No, not going to happen.
I don't. There's too much power in that. In having centralized tech, there's way too much power. You know, what's the old saying? Absolute power corrupts absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think we have or are turning into a technocracy.
Yeah, and centralized power corrupts truth.
Mm-hmm. And we've let it happen. You know, and you know, like I said earlier, we've all, our generation, you know, Gen X, millennials, have let this happen because we're like, look, cool new tech. You know, I mean, this is stuff we grew up with. I mean, we hit it on our last episode.
Oh yeah,
stuff that was sci-fi. You know, that 20 years ago. And we're like, man, this is cool. This new tech is awesome. You know, it makes our life so much easier. And it does. But what did we give up?
Well, we gave up part of our freedom.
Yeah.
Part of our privacy.
Right. And I think people are now starting to realize that.
It's my electronic leash.
And this is actually absolutely what it is. Absolutely. I mean, how often do, and I'll just ask in general, how often do you use cash?
Hardly ever. Hardly ever. And I kick myself. Why don't I carry cash? It's just so much more convenient to tap my card. Or I can have you tap my phone now with your card and you can pay me.
Yep. I was just thinking about that. I mean, they went from something as simple as swiping.
Yeah.
To now you just put your card up there. I caught myself doing it the other day. And I don't do it a lot, but I caught myself doing that the other day. I was getting gas.
Now you can tap your phone or tap your watch and pay.
Because it's easier.
It's convenient. It's control and surveillance wrapped up in convenience.
Yeah. And speaking of surveillance, have you noticed? I mean, I know you don't really go into Walmart anymore, do you? You just go in, you know, you order online.
Once in a while I go in. We order online. It comes to our door because I don't like people.
Yeah, I
like
agree.
some people.
But I was previous weekend. I gave my wife my card and she ran up to Walmart and picked up a few groceries and all. And I pulled up the Walmart app and I could see exactly what she purchased
Oh yeah.
because my card's linked to that account.
Everything on there.
Yeah, I could see exactly what she purchased and how much she spent.
Mm-hmm. And they dress that up as convenience too, because when we're shopping, well, we've bought that. Let me go through here and see if I've bought it before. What did we buy before? So we can go back through everything we've bought in the last, I don't know how many years on that account is available through Walmart.com. You can see exactly what we've purchased and buy it again.
Yeah.
So one of those things, it's sold as convenience, and it is convenient.
Yeah.
I won't deny, and we use it all the time. But Walmart knows. Walmart is Big Brother.
Right.
Or the We Say So company.
Right. Man, you got anything else?
I do have a few things because this is What If Tomorrow, and we talk about preparedness. I have a very short preparedness section. So, freedom preparedness. Protect your privacy. Limit the amount of personal data you hand over casually. We've talked about that. Diversify your information sources. Never let one platform, one news source, or one institution become your only map of reality. That is good advice right there. That should, I should post that someplace. Keep analog backups, printed records, hard copies, offline contact lists, reduce digital dependency. Build local networks. We've talked about this before. Strong communities are harder to manipulate than isolated individuals. Develop practical self-reliance. Preparedness is not only about disasters, it's about reducing vulnerability to systems that can fail, censor, or control. This is the big one. Keep healthy suspicion of temporary powers. How many of you have seen, oh, this is only temporary, we're going to stop, and then it's gone on for 30 years or 20 years or whatever? So keep that one in mind. But those are things that you can do to be prepared for an Orwellian society. So that's about all I've got right now. But, you know, we're not living in Orwell's dystopia just yet. But the incentives Orwell warned us about are alive and well. And while it may seem like it sometimes, not every institution is evil.
Right.
But I read something really interesting online. I think Orwell wrote it. Government power doesn't corrupt, but it is, how does that, something, it's magnetic to people who are already evil and self-serving. They look at that and said, that's where I want to be because I can do what I want.
Yeah.
I'll have to find that quote and put it up for you sometime. But another thing that we need to talk about, any concentration of power, whether it be political or economic, needs your scrutiny. Look at it. See where the money goes. See where the power goes. And see what people want.
Yeah.
So, anyway, that's about all I've got.
Okay. Well, I don't really have much anything else. I mean, we're kind of blew through the outline, which, hey, guys, I do have an outline I'm going by.
Right. I have notes, too. I've been very prepared lately. People on the fringe are going like, Mark, did the body snatchers get you? You sound prepared. I know it's unreal.
Right.
I'm trying to turn over a new leaf. I've been buying new equipment and spending money and trying to be smart. I'm still kind of slightly confused as the label's still correct. Now, I do want to say one thing before we get off that is not anything to do with what we've talked about tonight. This is just a little piece of news that we've talked about in the past. If you go back to our first year when we were talking about nuclear power and liquid salt reactors, Germany now has the first commercial liquid salt reactor that is powered by nuclear waste and cannot melt down. It's physically impossible for it to melt down. So not only are they getting cheap, safe nuclear power, they're using it to get rid of their current nuclear waste. We could be doing that here. They've just proved it's possible.
Well, I hope it takes off. I really do.
I hope it does too. But that's one of those things we've talked about in the past that, it's fact now. It's not just speculation. So, with that being said, I don't really have anything else. But I did want to mention that. Go check it out.
Okay. Yeah, I mean that's awesome to think about. But guys, I want you to think about what we talked about tonight. I mean, the way the parallels. And if you haven't read, listened, or even watched the movie, obviously the book is better. Always is. I implore you to go look at it. Go read it. Same thing with Strange New World. Let me do that one next. I don't know. I may put that on the docket and look at that. Because it's kind of the same, but there's a lot of differences as well.
Well, there's a lot of books. We should start a reading list.
Yeah.
And post it.
Yeah. But really think about, I mean, we obviously didn't cover everything in the book in this hour, but really look into it and see the parallels on where we're going, not just as a nation, but as the world.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not just us in the U.S. I still believe that we here in the U.S. are the last bastion of freedom, but I can't really say we're totally free.
Nobody is totally free.
No.
So, and that's that political spectrum that they don't teach anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So most people think left is one way and right is the other. Well, what it is when you look at it, you hold your left hand up. That is total control by the state. Well, that has all your archies in it, monarchies, oligarchies, all that stuff is over there on the left. And then on the right is total anarchy, no control by the state. And what we want is to meet someplace in the middle. But we keep drifting over towards total control because, it's easy. I mean, the people in charge want to have that total control. So they try to keep pushing things left so they can have that total control. But you don't want to go right either because right is zero control. So just remember that next time somebody starts spouting off left and right. Total control is the left. Total anarchy is the right. And rightly, we should be somewhere in the middle.
Yeah, and we should. And I think that's a huge part of the problem is people have forgotten how to have a dialogue without attacking each other. They let social media, they let news networks do the talking for you.
Yeah. And the news networks are the big ones.
Yeah, I mean, you hear, I mean, our attention spans are nil anymore. You know, and if you're looking at TikTok or YouTube Shorts, things like that, you know, something lasts 30 seconds, and you take that as the gospel,
Yeah. We make goldfish look like geniuses.
right? I mean, I have a hard enough time remembering things anyway. That's just me. But
Same.
I have so much going on up here in my own world, and it's just hard to keep things straight. I mean, just for an example, I mean, I've got my homestead I'm trying to look out for, the podcast. I'm coaching 2 soccer teams and work. You know, I mean, it's crazy.
I'm glad you're a young guy.
I'm not as young as I wish I was. Does that make sense?
I would be happy to be as young as you. I'm telling you.
Right.
The energy level after 50 just kind of goes.
Oh, dang it. I better start doing something then. Maybe taking meth or something. I don't know. But anyway, guys, I implore you, you know, go check the book out, go watch the movie, draw your own parallels.
Yeah.
Mark and I have said this 100,000 times. I mean, just in a few episodes we have. Do your own research. Look at it.
Yeah.
Think objectively. Not necessarily emotionally. I mean, emotions have a place, but think objectively without emotion. Draw your own parallels.
Try to find facts.
And, you know, as for the next show, I'm trying to get a guest on. I'm waiting on an email back. If not, I have to figure something out. But yeah, not a big deal. And Mark, do you have next week laid out for On the Fringe?
Yeah. Let me look at my handy dandy minder here, where I have everything written down, because that's how I remember things. I have a notepad that I write stuff down in. Otherwise, I will never remember it. So let me look once again at my little notepad. We are going to talk about areas of high strangeness around the world and do some speculating about that stuff.
Nice.
I've been on
Sounds
kind
fun.
of a ancient history being rediscovered thing, and I'll get back to that on the fringe, because a lot of people still consider it pretty fringy. I think it's just exciting, but we're going to talk about areas of high strangeness and possibly what makes it tick, but we're going to talk about all that weird stuff.
Cool.
Weird is fun.
Sounds fun. With that being said, guys, we appreciate you hanging out in the chat. We appreciate you listening. You know, if you know somebody who would be interested in our content, by all means, send them our way, even just to listen. If you find any kind of value in it, by all means, send them our way. If you got any questions, comments, anything like that, you know, feel free to reach out to us at our Facebook group, the What If Tomorrow Media, our email, whatiftomorrowpc@gmail.com. And I think that's kind of it. But everybody, we appreciate it, and we'll see you in the next one.
Have a good night, folks.